Good. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Indivisible Confidence Live, Day 3. Here's Yolanda. Hello. Oh, hello. So happy to have you here. So happy to be here. And I want to let everyone know, too, who was here or watched yesterday's replay. Hi, Yolanda. Ooh, focus on the road. Focus on the road. You just received. All is well with my mother. She did need the emergency attention, and the ambulance was absolutely necessary, and her condition is manageable and being managed now. She's on the right medicine. She's had all the tests. The labs are at the lab, and so we are in a good place there, and I am so happy I stayed the course, even with all the reasons to stray. We are often presented right as we're about to have a big, what Florence Scovel calls a demonstration, where you're about to have this big reception of like the desires being fulfilled. It seems like things start to fall apart. And that can take so many forms. Sometimes it's, your electronics failing, or appliances breaking down, or technology going haywire, or the people around you feeling like, oh, wow, they need the upgrade too, because they're meant to come with you. And sometimes that comes with challenges and difficulties. So all the more important for us to be so indivisible and focused and calm and clear about who we are, what we're here to do, and how we want to feel. Directives, yes. So good. And I was doing the slides and working on the workbook, and I'm so excited for what's happening with the workbook. It is slow. Sometimes I think I'm going to get things done faster than I will, but it is coming together. And I was just like, I've been talking so much and I want more from who's here. And this, again, is an intimate space. So we are going to be doing some indivisibility coaching today. I want to be hearing from you, receiving from you, working with you. So that is on the agenda for day 3. And yeah, I want you to, as you arrive in this space, whether you are coming here live today or watching the replay, just to take a moment. And if it's available to you, close your eyes. But if not, just keep that really steady, soft gaze ahead of you. And allow yourself to really sink into the present moment, the aliveness of this moment, taking an easy, gentle breath in through the nose, deep into the belly, and exhaling. And a nice, another deep, gentle inhale through the nose, into the belly, reaching to the base of the spine. So good. And on your next inhale, we're just going to do a really brief presencing with your inhale is going to bring the shoulders up to the ears, really crunching them in up to the ears, shortening the neck. Ooh, tensing. And exhaling, bringing those shoulders back and down, shoulder blades coming together alongside the spine. Oh, yes. And just noticing how much space that creates. Here comes Sheena. Yes. And yes, just welcoming in that space. Sheena, we just took a nice, deep, gentle inhale and brought the shoulders up to the ears, crunching them in. And then on the exhale, really consciously bringing those shoulders back and down away from the ears, just opening up through the chest, bringing some space between the neck and the shoulders. This is like our modern life now, right? Like clenching, constricting, and it's so unconscious. We don't even know we're doing it. And again, we're just very focused on our capacity, our somatic availability for all the holding we are here to do. And as I was leading us through that presencing breath, breathing in the aliveness of this moment, I recalled this morning as I was walking I go to this overlook most every morning to walk my dog, and I reach out my arms and I walk through a dream experience that I had many years ago, where I was being surveyed by an angel. It was like the angel was sort of scanning me to see where I stood on, I guess, my own upgrades. And it told me, reach out your arms. And I said, this is as far as they go. I was standing in sort of that 5-pointed star stance. And the angel replied, they extend much further than you know. And so I go to the overlook every morning and I open up through the chest, through the arms, and I reach them out and I just imagine beautiful healing energy coursing through me and then also moving out through my arms. And I think of like my arms almost getting so long that they can just wrap all the way around the world. And I can just hold that even just for an instant. And when I was there today doing that practice, guess what I saw when I stepped down from this sort of it's like sort of a stone wall that I stand on and overlook this beautiful sort of hilly landscape. And there was a tiny, adorable, and this is going to sound like wild and weird, but it was the cutest snake I have ever seen. It was just miraculous to me. And it didn't move. It was just so calm. It was so relaxed. It was probably this long. It was just the sweetest little thing. It had the sweetest little head. And I thought maybe it was the skin of the snake because it was so still. And so I sort of like very gently nudged it to see if it was a snake skin. And it was a live snake. And it just sort of curled its little tail up a little bit, but that was it. And I just sort of crouched down and I actually took some photos because, this all history is the history of women. I don't know if you remember that email from late March that sort of kicked off our catapult content for the Indivisible Confidence Workshop and everything that this live workshop represents. And so much is coming through in regards to what we have done here, what we are doing today, and what is on the horizon for us. So to see that itty bitty, it was an anthracite gray color, like just in between sort of black and gray. And it's raining here. So it had some like little raindrops on it. And I actually was wearing a jacket that was the same color. So it was just a beautiful moment of really feeling the unconscious, the underworld, and even, the goddess saying, I'm here with you. So I wanted to present that and say again, welcome to day 3. I know that this is technically the final day of this workshop. It is just the beginning of so many things. Again, it's just radiant on the horizon here. So thank you so much for being with me through this. And I feel that we are now ready to get going here. Let us commence with our slides. And oh, yes, I was just going to say, can someone pop in the chat? And here you are, Yolanda, bringing it on. Snakes are also signs for transformation. They are. Absolutely. It's regeneration, transformation, transmutation. I mean, the circle of life, the Ouroboros. I mean, it's just profound symbolism there. And I don't often see them, but there it was, just itty bitty little snake this morning, really presenting itself as it just felt so accessible and available. So I am wondering too, if you can pop in the chat where you stand with answering question number 1 of the 4 questions. How do you want to feel? And maybe you are still sort of in taking inventory of how you don't want to feel, and you haven't necessarily landed on how you do want to feel. So either one. Are you still in how you don't want to feel? I would love to hear that. If you are in touch with how you do want to feel, I would love to hear that too. If you are still not feeling ready to solidify that or share it, that is perfectly welcome as well. But I wanted to invite you to share that in the chat. And wherever you stand with it, let this insight, this knowledge come to you, make itself known. And again, this isn't something that we're deciding on and that's it. It's never changing. It's just something to start with. It's like the clay to work with. Okay, I'm going to do the slides. Feel free to pop into the chat any of that, or just get ready for our ride today. Ooh, good burp. We had a nice release there. I have a lot of experiences where, again, I think I mentioned this earlier in our workshop, that I have physical experiences of things that maybe we aren't in touch with consciously. And so I don't know what we were releasing necessarily, but we released something right there as we moved into our slides, and maybe something shifted for you, maybe something happened, something rose up in regards to your directives, and possibly even question number 1. Yolanda says, I want to feel magical. Yes, Yolanda, I love that you're sticking with that. And that I have transformed others' perception and or lives for the best. I love that, Yolanda. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so today we are day 3 of Indivisible Confidence Live, and we are working on the level of integration. The how on our sort of quadrant of the 4 questions, back to how do we want to make other people feel, and who are you being in order to accomplish that. And as we move into talking about day 3 and everything we have to cover here, let's quickly go through what we did on day 1. Retrieve Eve. We are working to reunite the goddess with herself. She was divided with the myth of the fall. And I watched an amazing presentation yesterday by an author who's written a book called Before War, and just amazing insight about that. So feeling super lit up, as always, about working with Eve as our central figure, the archetype of Eve. Everything comes back to Eve. She is our first entrepreneur, a story of an early entrepreneur, not the first. Desire and capacity, your directives. We're going to be focusing on that, especially today as we work on your indivisibility coaching. Mudita, sympathetic rejoicing for what you view to be your future self, the there. And affirmative language, and the Puro practice, which stands for pirouette, pause, inhale, recognize, opposite. And that was actually what I was writing this morning. The homework from day 1 in the workbook is the affirmative language and the Puro practice. So that is underway and taking shape. That is, again, just something you can always come back to. So central and very grounding, and is just such a beautiful way to work with your directives and again, play. This is play. We're playing here. It's work and play, both. And day 2, the role of the ego, a tool, and can also be a weapon, an instrument. I think we decided we wanted to call it an instrument, and could also be used as, it could be used against us. It can be used against others. Its job is to work with this concept of separation. And that comes with both benefits and drawbacks. And we did the tensing tantrum. Was it, I think it might've been Rebecca yesterday, said, I was just reviewing the chat from day 2 and recalling that she said she didn't feel well early in the call, and that tensing tantrum was actually quite intense because we allowed the anger that we maybe have suppressed, that is both personal and collective, to rise up and in fully feeling it and really bringing that somatic experience to our bodies and like very consciously tensing around that anger, that rage, that grief about how women have been treated and subjugated. And oh God, so much there was gain. There was also so much loss. And so I think that ended up being quite profound, the tensing tantrum, but it really flushed so much out and through the system. And we talked about relational neutrality, shifting into neutral, where we, instead of try and assign, the contrast, good or bad, to try and like organize our thoughts and how we view the world, really being in that sort of middle space between the poles. So it's almost like recognizing that, you want to look for the good or bad, the right or wrong, the up or down, hot or cold, but you relate to it from a neutral place, shifting into neutral, relational neutrality. And then we covered 5 ways to bypass the ego. Again, bypass in the way of like playing with it, making it sort of a game. And one of my favorite practices to get right with yourself, Ho'oponopono, starting with yourself, because it's so easy to look out into the world and be like, well, this is what's wrong. This is what needs to be solved. But whatever you're seeing out there, you're seeing because it's also in here. And you might not be fully in touch with it. It might feel too big, scary, bad, wrong, whatever you might be assigning to it. It could just be showing up as blocks. Oh my goodness, it's just a myriad of manifestations. But either way, when we presence ourselves, when we actually become centered within the self with the work of the directives and coming back to ourselves, that's when we start to really initiate change. It's when we start to try to find the solutions and solve the problems that seem to exist outside of us without working on the inside first, that we end up in really dire straits. Oh, hello was your part of your homework. Greeting a new reflection. We did some of that yesterday. It was so fun at the end. And I'd love to know in the chat how that landed for you. Have you been able to work with that? What came up? Did you remember to do it? Did you forget? Did you catch yourself like looking in the mirror and looking for flaws or what was wrong? Was it accessible? I would love to know how that has worked for you or not at all. But either way, we did such great work with it yesterday in session. Oh, hello. Gratitude before apology. I used to say gratitude over apology, but that really gets into a hierarchical approach. And I'm really working on trying to keep things more of like an ecosystem. So gratitude before apology, because likely the apology isn't necessary. It just becomes a verbal tick and it's often unconscious. And so I invited you to really, again, play with that, bring some conscious awareness to how you might be apologizing when you don't need to apologize. And you can instead just say thank you, which positions you in a much more secure, powerful place. And personally, I think it's just so integral for me to watch out for apology. Actually, I don't have my necklace on today, but the sort of rectangular necklace I wear almost every day is sorry, not sorry. But I noticed so many people saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm like, you do not have to say you're sorry. Like, it's just not necessary. There's no reason for it. So you may have even just noticed other people saying, I'm sorry, even if you didn't see yourself doing it. But of course, when you see someone else doing it, it might even just be an invitation to be like, wow, this person is saying, I'm sorry. Where in me is that? Am I feeling that? Where in me do I might feel like I need to say sorry? Or how can I meet this person in their experience of thinking they need to apologize for whatever they're apologizing for? Where can I find that in me? What can I bring to what this presents? So gratitude before apology, just really bringing more gratitude into your vernacular, your daily words, collection of words, your language. Oh God, I am such a word nerd. I'm such a word nerd. I love etymology. I mean, it's just the tree, right? And when you start to really look at the words and the meanings and where it comes from and how language has evolved, to me, it just really, really lights me up. So little tidbit in there. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started on day 2. We don't have as many slides today because, again, I was doing so much talking last 2 days. So Sheena and Yolanda, I hope that you are going to be able to make yourselves available in probably 20 minutes for some coaching. And anyone else, am I going to be able to see people as they come in? Where did let me just see participants. Maybe I can keep this open. My nose again. My nose. I actually did not sleep as much last night as I would have liked to, but I'm feeling so good nonetheless. But again, my body is sort of like, oh, hello. We would love some rest after all of this. And I just need to send a quick text message, all the ways that we need to hold our lives. Okay. How do you want to make people feel? How do you want to make people feel? This is actually question 4. And I love to present the 4 questions in order, but sometimes we need to mix it up, especially because these are big questions to be asking to establish the directives. And if you aren't feeling enough movement, or you feel like you've gotten to a certain place with 1 through 3, or you're just like, okay, well, I'm just feeling like a little heaviness, or, I just want to shake things up a little, maybe start at the end, work backwards, reverse the flow. How do you want to make people feel? And again, this can come from how don't you want to make people feel? How don't you want them to feel? What don't you want them to experience in regards to who you are, your medicinal message, how you are presenting? What is like the worst thing? Let's get superlative here. What is the worst thing that you could possibly make someone feel? That is an amazing place to start, because you know what you're trying to avoid. And when you bring conscious awareness that to what you don't want, then you are illuminating what might exist in the unconscious mind in the shadow that is a part of the fertile ground from which your reality and your experience blossoms, arises, becomes a more direct experience on the material plane. And when you're trying to avoid something, trying not to do it, guess what happens? It becomes like the subconscious mind doesn't hear that's not what I want. It hears that is what I want. It just like the negative just does not translate in the subconscious mind. So illuminating how you don't want other people to feel, and then excavating that and working with it to find what's wrong, holding that what's wrong is there, but also what's perfect is also there, and then flipping it to find the opposite, flipping the what's wrong to find the opposite, you will find an even more potent answer and result to the affirmative question and the affirmative phrasing that I really encourage you to find around how do you want to make people feel? So again, starting with how you don't want people to feel. And I'm going to riff a little bit. Feel free to put it in the chat. What don't you want people to feel? Maybe you don't want people to feel triggered. You don't want people to feel excluded. You don't want people to feel like you're taking up too much space, or that, you think you're all that, or you don't want people to feel like, you really don't want their reaction to be like, who is she to blah, 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 blah. Maybe you don't want people to feel like they're allergic to you. You don't want people to feel like they need to unsubscribe or unfollow. And I think looking for an adjective, but to land on eventually, but it doesn't have to be an adjective to start with. And it doesn't have to be an adjective at the end. That is purely a guideline, something to use in your structure of this exploration. But yeah, how don't you want people to feel? And then how do you want people to feel? So if you don't want people to feel like you are taking up too much space, maybe you want people to feel like, wow, she's just really niched. Like she just knows what she's doing, who she is, how she wants to do it. And then they get to decide if they resonate, if they want to stick around. Maybe you don't want people to feel like, who is she to do this work, to relay this message, to feel so confident. And what that means is that you actually want people to feel, oh, wow, she really is so clear, and she's so focused, and she's so determined, and she's full of ambition, and, she's commitment to who she is and what she does, and the medicinal message she's here to share, and how she wants to feel sharing it. Bringing us back to question number 1. How do you want to feel? Because this is at the tail end of the lightning bolt in the directives. How do you want to make people feel? It doesn't mean it's any less important than how you want to feel, but really it's so much more available to come back to yourself first. In this world that is so frayed and both connected and disconnected, we're like hyper connected to the point of disconnection, always being pulled away from ourselves and our direct experience, and the body too. We're just so swept up in the linear conscious mind, which is so brilliant and amazing and miraculous. And yet there's like just this whole part of us that is missing, that is now coming online. It's waking up. It's like, I am here. I will not be ignored. And yeah, you're feeling the call. You're feeling the pull. Whatever brought you here, that is what it is. So then with this integration, the who of integration, the question is, who are you being to accomplish helping people feel the way you want them to feel? And this is a big question too. Who are you being to accomplish that directive of making people feel what you consciously want them to feel? Which of course derives from, you guessed it, you and how you want to feel, because it's going back and forth across the center line of the seeming illusory, yet no less useful dividing line of separation. There it is. How do you want to make people feel? Who are you being to accomplish that? What will help you in doing this? And we made great strides yesterday with doing the Ho'oponopono practice, is what I like to call radical responsibility and approval, moving beyond the victim villain, the victim villain paradigm. Again, either or, this or that. No, this is the both and, the paradox. And the universe, which I really like to just call it the universe because it's the one song, universe, calling out to itself, responding to itself, looking for the vessels to birth itself through so that it can experience itself on the material plane, like in form. So this is why it is such a tremendous gift to have a body, to have a voice, to be able to see, imagine, envision, create with our opposable thumbs, to write, to communicate. Wow, I have chills. I want you to just tune into your body right now as I have said that, because it does come with some liabilities. The body needs tending, especially as we move through life, which the minute you're born, you're dying. I mean, you're growing, but you're going to just, now that you've been born, like you're moving through life in order to eventually be reborn through the portal of death. And it is a circle. It is not a line, as we have been lied to about. Again, it was used as a way to organize society, syncretism, and the division of the goddess. But the universe works on a call and response system. And so responsibility, radical responsibility, claiming radical responsibility for your experience, who you are, what you're here to do, how you want to feel. Wow. This is medicine right here. And giving yourself approval for the full spectrum of your experience. And one of my mentors, I will quote her, leaders don't seek approval, they give it. And before maybe you can give approval to that which seems to exist outside of you, you begin with yourself. And that might feel challenging. It might take some time to ease into. You do not have to rush this, but giving yourself approval, claiming radical responsibility for your experience, giving yourself approval for the full spectrum of your experience helps you move beyond this victim villain paradigm, which is where we see a lot of the othering that is happening right now. Like that is those people, that other is the problem. They need to be eliminated. And we're doing that inside of ourselves. Again, maybe not even consciously aware of it, but we're othering parts of ourselves. And then that is being reflected outside of us on the seeming exterior. So you can even just say right now, I choose to claim radical responsibility for my experience. And I give myself total approval for who I have been, who I am right now, and who I am becoming in all facets of who I am as an individual. As I experience myself to be, I give myself total and full approval. I claim radical responsibility and I give myself total approval for all of me. And this shifts you into this movement beyond the victim villain paradigm into the new wave paradigm, where the unconscious and the conscious mind are counterparts of one another. They come into communion with one another. They come into this reconciliation within you. Hello, Tessa. So happy you're here. Cohesion is on the other side. Oh, other side. There I am. I'm doing it, right? We can't help it. It just helps the brain get on board with what we know to be true, which is these very large concepts. So cohesion is a stop on the cycle, let's say. And when this word came through as cohesion, and actually came through as like the fifth floor of a building, that we start with relational neutrality, appreciation, satisfaction, approval, and then cohesion is like right up at the top. And cohesion is where and when desire and capacity resonate. And I'm seeing that I actually need a visual here that I will get done for submitting these slides to the workbook. But it was what I was talking about yesterday. So we have desire, which is, the linear sort of, I'm here in this don't want experience. I want to go over there to the have and the want. And of course, can't spell there without here. And then capacity, it can sort of feel like it's squiggly and disorienting and all over the place and looping back on itself. And it feels like you're going backwards when you want to go forwards because it's not linear. But as you work with capacity, creating the space within yourself, uniting your psyche, your conscious mind, and your soma, your unconscious mind, as represented by your body, that's when the desire and the capacity come into more of a relationship like this, like the string that's being bowed on the violin. And there's resonance where the sounds experience cohesion. And this was just such a specific word. So what I just walked through, again, it was presented to me as existential hierarchy. And I'm working with my guides to find a new term because I'm like, I'm trying to move beyond the hierarchy. But it just helps us with like the way that we know that we learn. And this word was just so specific, the cohesion. Okay, so, and the sort of result is the diamond body consciousness, the reconciliation of the opposites within you, the holding that you're able to do where the counterparts meet. And this is, you know, the diamond you think of as really one of the strongest materials on earth, forged by the pressure of the earth, the coal becoming a gem. It's a symbol of the indivisibility that I'm talking about. And there are so many other terms for it. Again, the reconciliation of the opposites, uniting the conscious with the unconscious, the philosopher's stone, the alchemical marriage, the hieros gamos, the microcosm within the macrocosm, the 5-pointed star within the 6-pointed star. So many traditions have different terms for this. I really like diamond body consciousness. This doesn't mean that you have a 6-pack, although it can. You have so much strength within you, however that might be presenting, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. But there is, because again, it's this idea that you are where heaven and earth meet. Eden is already within you. And this diamond has already been forged. It is at the core, the center of your being, the indivisible self that is just being covered over by your sort of Russian doll syndrome symptoms, like the layers of limiting beliefs, outdated identities, coping mechanisms too, trauma responses, unprocessed grief, protective barriers maybe that you've put up. And you had to do it. You had to do it. You were taught to do it. You were probably supported in doing it. They have served you in many, many ways. They have brought you to where you are now. They have made you who you are. And so what we are seeking here is this treasure that is within you and the ability to transmute anything, to see that literally in everything, you are experiencing yourself and that you can hold all of the full totality of your experience and what it means to be human. Oh, Yolanda said self-sabotage. Yes. So to me, self-sabotage is just that you don't have capacity for what you think you want to do. You aren't fully on board. Your whole self is not fully on board with what you are trying to accomplish. And maybe it's about the way you're trying to accomplish it. Yolanda, I want to dive into that with you. And Sheena, Yolanda, Tessa, again, indivisibility coaching coming up. Is it next? Oh no, we need to talk about contagious first. Totally forgot about this, but I want you all to start feeling prepared to receive the forging heat of getting some direct coaching. I'm so excited. And let's talk about contagious here quickly. And it's 11:41. Great. So a few minutes we'll get to coaching, which is actually really, I mean, I love doing the teaching. I love doing the presenting. I could go on for hours and hours, days and days. And really, it's just interacting with you and finding out what's in there and shaking it up a little bit and maybe, yeah, pressing it all together. Okay, so contagious, you have probably never heard this word before. It might feel familiar. I received this term on a trip. I was off grid and it was just this like amazing moonlit night. There was some big celestial event. I do have to go back into finding out the sort of technical aspects of what was happening, what sign the moon was in. It was probably end of July 2023. And I was on a lake, on a dock, and just watching the moon and just being like transported by the moon and in such deep connection with my guides, which are a truly profound intelligence. They like to be called the kite. And they carried me so far. I could feel my body, but I knew that I wasn't in my body. It was so wild. And I kept telling them, I feel like I'm never going to get back to my body. And they said, do not worry, you will return. But first we have to give you something. And we had to pull you so far out of your body to give it to you that's why it feels so like unstable and like you'll never get back. And they said, this is the word we want you to come back with, contagious. And I sort of went back and forth with them. And I'm like, well, how do you spell it? Are you sure? Like, these are the words. And they were like, this is the word. Yes, these are the letters. Here it is. And also they told me to write 1,500 words per day, which I can accomplish sometimes. It's a little hard, but we'll get to that. But either way, contagious. And so in working with discovering what contagious means, it is an adjective, a flexible term to hold the poles of paradox, used primarily to describe the inherent poetry of a full spectrum experience. And that is, to me, what it means to be human, that fully human, the new, Nous, where you are so fully human and divine, the crossroads of the above and below, the within and the without, holding the both and, holding the poles, reconciling the opposites. It's just so contagious. And I wrote a poem as I was really basking in receiving this word. And so I'm going to recite that poem. Contagious thoughts arise from the deep recesses, normally too far buried beneath hurried linear thought. Recognition of the fluidity of time and precious transience of the present moment, where the counterparts dance because appreciation meets satisfaction. Like you're living a lucid dream where all possibilities exist in the suspension of disbelief, where falling becomes flying and water sings as it slips along the sides of your boat. You see it in the velvet of an evergreen, optimistically silhouetted against the coming dawn, and in clouds that part, scattering light that frolics and glitters in tracing a pattern made only for you. You can feel it in a lake wind that keeps you honest with her swift shifts from bow to stern, stern to bow, requiring you heed her power and respond with pulls on the left oar, then the right, and then the left. A conversation about how to stay the course. More than a word, a conceit, a concept of the world as seen through the lens of the self. A treasure carried back from a trip, a shamanic journey through the portal of a moon 2 days before she reaches her apex of light on the night when the pregnant goddess gave birth to the pregnant goddess and revealed the secrets of the universe. Contagious, a word that so completely and securely reconciles the opposites, no pole for it exists. A way to describe the momentous, the marvelous, the most indescribable. Contagious. So you could use that as your adjective for your directive. What does contagious mean to you? I want to feel contagious. Tessa, you got chills. Tessa, you know where I was too. It's a special place where the moon rises and sweeps you into her power. You cannot look away. Okay. Yay! Indivisibility coaching. And then we have a couple of slides after that, but let's spend some time doing some coaching. Tell me, who wants to come first? Go first, come off mute, and video, if you would. You can just do it. Who's going to be first? An absolutely beautiful poem. Thank you, Yolanda. Yolanda, do you want to go first? Tessa, I saw you.
Hello. That was such a touching
Yolanda,
poem.
Tessa, you're both off mute. Who wants to come? Who wants to go first? Here comes Eve.
Go for it,
just
Yolanda.
in time for coaching. Okay, Tessa, I'm calling on you.
Okay.
Tessa's gonna go first.
I'm
Yolanda,
here.
you're second. Eve and Sheena, if you want coaching. Hi, Eve. You can go third or fourth. Tessa, you're on the hot seat.
Okay.
Talk to me. How do you want to feel?
That is a loaded question, and I love it.
Okay. How don't you want to feel?
So I guess I could say to start, just to make it personal for me, that poem, I got chills when you talked about being a pregnant goddess and welcoming in a pregnant goddess. Just for everyone here, my husband and I are currently trying to have a baby and having some struggles. And I've just got a lot of changes going on in my life, and just trying to pick which ones to put my energy toward is kind of what I'm working on right now, and which choices to go with. Because I don't know, this has been a beautiful inspiration, this whole workshop, helping me rethink where I want to go next. So I guess big choices I have ahead are welcoming a child in, and also I'm making a choice as to where to take my career path next. So I want to feel empowered, and I want to feel I want to make choices that will bring me joy.
Oh, wow. I want to feel empowered, and I want to make choices that will bring me joy. Look at that, Tessa. Can you feel the clarity of that?
Yes, it resonates really
intensely
with me.
It just lands. And
yeah.
How good does that feel? How much can you orbit around that? I mean, can you just see like all the decisions, all the pathways you can take? They're all here, but like now suddenly they just are like, ooh, wow, this is cool. Okay, here we go. We can like get on board with this, get around this. And she wants to feel empowered, and like the decisions she's making are bringing her joy.
Exactly. And
go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, so just for the group, I recently lost my mother, as Helena knows, back in December. And I've really been trying to channel her, because she's helped me in the past with making big life choices. And so just calling on her, I feel her presence. And I've just got a lot of things going on, and I want to choose the path that will bring me happiness, both for myself and my family and my loved ones.
Well, that is so thoughtful and beautiful. And just remember that the happiness of others will be accomplished when you make yourself happy.
Exactly.
Starting with yourself.
That kind of relates to the ego when I was saying the push and pull that I feel. I think it's the push and pull between like selflessness and selfishness, like when to be selfish and when to be selfless, like when to make a choice for myself and when to make a choice that's selfless. Like, does that make sense?
It does. So we've been taught that we can't be self-centered, right? We have to be selfless. So I would love for you to start to play with, I just want to center myself as I'm making decisions. It's just a little
Beautiful.
semantic play. And it really, again, just like brings you back to yourself. Like you're never going to be led astray by seeking out fulfilling the desire for how you want to feel, because your feelings are always going to lead you. It's just such profound intelligence that transcends our reasoning mind. And so the reasoning mind can get on board with it because it's going to start to be like, oh, this actually feels really good because I'm starting with the feeling instead of trying to backfill it on the other end. Mm-hmm. So you want to feel empowered and like the decisions you are making bring you joy. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
And thank you for letting me go first, team.
Yes. And so Tessa, just as we, I just feel like you did so much right there so quickly. You know, you were like, oh, it's a loaded question, but it was like, there was so much clarity there, like right away. Empowered. I love that word so much. And I'm just curious what that means to you. If maybe you have 3 synonyms even that help really bring that word, which is beautiful, but also a little bit intangible, and it's all relative, right? What does empowered mean to you?
So I don't know if I guess I can describe it. I don't know if I can give a single words, but just like sure in myself. So maybe my vocabulary isn't amazing and maybe there are better words for that. But sure in my decisions, and just, I think that's the biggest thing is making a choice and sticking with it. So empowered to make those choices, and that I want to feel confident in them.
Yeah, I'm hearing decisive.
Decisive, exactly.
Decisive.
And I'm being called by my husband. Thank you for letting me join later because I'm trying to multitask.
Oh, we're multidimensional. Sometimes we have to multitask. Yes. And if you need to go and be with him, you go and do that. But
I'm gonna listen. We're jumping in the car to drive home. We just went for a beautiful walk in the Wissahickon in Philadelphia.
I love it. So good. All right. So exploring what empowered means, and also how will you know you're feeling empowered? It's just like making it more conscious and more tangible. So
yeah,
just an exploration. You don't have to have the answers now, but that's a direction to take that in. Tessa, thank you. All right, Yolanda. All you ready? Yolanda, if you can, come on video and off mute. Hello.
Let me just switch this light on. I can see it's quite dark. That better? Yeah.
There we go. Good. Yolanda, you're in South Africa.
Can you hear me clearly?
Right? I can hear you. I can see you. I can hear you. And you're in South Africa, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm in beautiful Cape Town.
Oh, hello.
Actually, let me give you guys a gift quickly. Let's see.
I love gifts.
Me too. So, can you see that?
Oh my goodness. Stop it.
That's Table Mountain.
Wow. That is glorious.
So from my bedroom, I can see Table Mountain. I absolutely love it.
And on orientation wise, the directions, where is Table Mountain in relation to you?
So it is northwest. Yeah.
Have you ever slept with your head towards Table Mountain?
No.
I invite you to try that tonight.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
And it can be, like you don't have to move your bed or like sleep on the floor or anything. Like if it's a little bit diagonal, it doesn't have to be like directly north, but just like showing the universe. You're like, oh, I'm orienting with my head north here, like towards Table Mountain. Thank you so much for sharing that view. Where do you feel that view inside of you, Yolanda? When you look at that view, where do you feel it?
In my chest area and my solar plexus.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can just see that, of course, that mountain was so symbolic for so many civilizations and people who have
Yes.
seen it and experienced it. Like, wow. Okay, Yolanda, what experience are you having right now that you do not want to be having anymore?
I don't like the feeling that I can't identify when my desires are ego based.
Ooh.
So not sort of, so not all of them, but specifically, and Tessa touched on this as well. Now, one of the things that I've done in respect of indivisibility and to encompass, both polars, was to look at words as neutral.
Mm.
So we have a tendency, because we socialized, we give meaning to words, we add emotion to it, right? And then it becomes triggers.
Mhm. Mhm.
So for example, selfless was one of those words for me. I didn't like the word selfless, because how can you be less of yourself, or without yourself? Uh, so like that. I know what you know what I mean, right? Or
Yeah.
if you talk about rape, then immediately there's like trauma, and you feel those type of things. So
Mhm.
with most of my desires, I can immediately say, I'm aligned, this is where I'm going. But then there are those that I am so convinced about, but it sounds ego-based.
Mhm. Why are you othering your ego? Why is it a bad thing to have ego-based desires?
I guess it's because of the way we've been taught,
Mhm.
and that I then feel selfish
Wow.
as a result of that.
So, what is just the most ego laden desire that you have that you feel like is just so self centered, wrong, bad,
Want to be
terrible?
famous.
Yes! Want
I
to
want
be
to be like
famous,
world famous. Yes.
world famous.
Yeah.
Where do you feel that, Yolanda? Where
I
do
feel
you
it
feel
right
that?
in my
Look at you.
stomach.
Oh,
It's literally going through my body now, literally through my body to my toes.
I feel that. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. Now I want to be famous. How will you feel being famous? How does that feel being famous? Like, you can even tune into it. You said, I feel it all the way to my tips of my toes. What did that feel like?
Acknowledged.
Acknowledged. I want to feel acknowledged. Okay, great. What else? What else is coming up? Where do you go with acknowledged?
Mm. So in addition to feeling acknowledged, it comes back to the magical, to being able to bring things to life in such a short amount of time that it seems impossible. That it's only through magic or through mystic, or that this could be birthed, right? And I feel that in my work. I would start, I'm a lawyer. I usually say that I'm a rehabilitative lawyer.
Mhm.
I don't litigate at all anymore. I don't go to court at all anymore. In 2008, I heeded a call to bring commercial mediation to South Africa.
Wow.
And it took 10 years to get it off the ground.
So it's felt like
10
it's been
years.
forever, right? And you're like, now I've done
Yes.
it. And then now I
Yes.
want to be famous for it, right?
You know what?
Yolanda, okay, first of all, this is
Yes.
already happening, right? This is just an alternate timeline that you're tuning into, that you are already
Yes.
famous. And what you're
Yes.
doing right now is merging the timelines. Like they're getting closer and closer, which is why you're feeling it in your body. So this is the practice for you, is to give yourself the space, the time. I want this to be a daily practice. It can be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, time container, where you really let yourself feel that your decade of work, your body of work, it's coming to fruition. The tree is bearing fruit and you are famous. And it feels so good because you being famous, in what way is you being famous, Yolanda, world famous, of the highest service to the greatest good?
Yes. 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 And that is the other part of it. And that part I am in complete alignment with, right? Because I know with whatever I do, so even in conflict resolution, because of our particular past in South Africa, a lot of people come and their dignity has been completely stripped away from them. Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, my body temperature just dropped.
Yeah. And I've come to realize through resolving conflict, I've come to realize that you cannot resolve the conflict unless you resolve the underlying issues. And so often in South Africa, not so much in the rest of the world with my work, but so often in South Africa, that is what I first have to deal with. I first have to restore people's dignity. And then suddenly the resolving of the conflict becomes so easy.
Yeah.
But somebody walks away from that mediation and they feel dignified again. And they feel listened to, they feel heard, and that is my gift.
That is your gift.
No,
I mean, it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. But let me pause you there, because something also really influential happens right before the big demonstration, right before the timelines merge. And you're like, oh, wow, here it is, that you have to go even deeper with your own work. The work that you're bringing into the world, you're being called into even deeper, more profound layers and levels of doing it within yourself. And right now, Yolanda, you are doing your own conflict resolution around being selfish, selfless, world famous. In what way is you being world famous totally selfless?
I don't think that is a possibility. I don't think
really though. I mean, let's think about it, Yolanda. Let's just say it's already happening. You're world famous. People are like, wow, Yolanda, she does this amazing conflict resolution. She's making it happen in South Africa. It's this amazing model. It's working there. She's just 10 years, a decade. She's committed herself to this. She let everything fall away. She used to do litigation. She doesn't do it anymore. We want to interview her. We want to put her on, all the media channels, all the podcasts, all the daytime TV, the interviews, but maybe we're even just going to do a documentary, give her own show. This woman needs to be world famous. Think about what you're giving. Yeah, right? Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And right now you're like, oh God, it's so selfish for me to be famous. But just for a second, and this relates to the part of you that's holding you back and trying to protect you from being famous, because there's a lot of exposure. There's a lot of vulnerability. There's also a sacrifice of privacy if you don't have crystalline, violently loving boundaries that you have identified and feel very confident and secure in enforcing. So this is the deeper layer of conflict resolution within you, and you get to work with it from, I think, the statement that I want to feel famous, world famous. I love that specifically. And that it is the most selfless thing I can do to be world famous. Like that statement right there, right now to you feels like it's conflicting, but it is encapsulating of your both and. So it's holding it, that you don't believe being famous is selfless. So it both is totally selfish to want to be famous and also totally selfless.
Thank you. Thanks for that. What you said earlier in when we just started, and then you mentioned it here again. It's almost like just before the breakthrough, it's darkest before dawn, right?
Mhm.
And so I continued with mediation, and then in 2020, 2021, 2022. So for 3 years, I held the award for the best lawyer in South Africa. And I felt, yeah, and it was because of this mediation thing, right? Also during COVID, I started in 2008, I started doing mediations online, and everybody told me I'm absolutely mad. I'm crazy. There's no way that it can work. And it went like that until COVID hit. And then I had to train everybody how to do it.
Of course you
So that
did.
was
You were
awesome.
so ahead of the
That
wave.
was amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was really amazing. And I've had this really, really bad period where people that I have trained, people don't have an iota of the skill that I have. They getting all the tenders I used to get. They getting all the work. They getting, and I got to a place or a stage where I realized everything that they doing, I have already done. I need to go, and this is just a confirmation for me what you've said now. I need to go deeper.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I would
thank
also
you.
do like a blanket ho'oponopono for all the people that you feel, I think I get the sense that you feel like they've maybe stolen your work, or they've
No.
appropriated it. Like you've trained
And
them, but now there's
and
something
they
in
have
there.
because
There's-
they literally took my
Yeah.
manuals, etc. But no, I don't feel bad. I did at the time. I was like,
Mhm.
how can you get that contract type of thing, right?
Right.
But
right.
then when I got to the realization that that was a specific phase in my life,
Yeah.
and it's now their time. The
Uh-huh.
type of person I am is always to cheer for others, right? I cheer for
Well,
myself.
and also what I see too is like your work is evolving, and like no one's there. It feels like they caught up to you, and maybe it
Yes.
feels like they took something from you. So that's why I'm encouraging you to do a blanket ho'oponopono for anyone you feel has trespassed in that way. And, it feels like an intellectual violation almost. And I know what that feels like. It feels like death.
Yes.
Truly. So almost letting this part of you, this version of you that was feeling so attached to your work, and then, it was kind of like taken from your grip, just almost getting to that place where you're like, of course you can have it. You can't steal anything from me. I am so abundant. That was just the beginning. And I am me. I am the creator, and you can steal all you want. I am me. I am this work. And I'm just going to keep birthing new versions, new levels, new experiences of it. And I get to claim that it is me. And you will always know, whatever you say, however you present yourself, you will always know that actually you are the imposter.
Yes.
But you just almost like just welcome them in. They're trying to do your work, and they're not, there's something about like credit, and maybe that relates to something in the past for you that could be academically, could be even in your origin family experience. I'm not sure what it was, but it was like someone took your idea and presented it as their own, like a plagiarism. It might not even be in your direct experience or your conscious memory, but it's like it's kicking around right now. And so coming into like the right relationship around this experience, it's going to just propel you to really, again, the direct, more immediacy of being like, oh wow, yeah, I'm famous now. Here it is. I am that person.
I am.
And yeah, and even saying like, every day, like I'm really creating the capacity, I'm playing with having the capacity to be famous, to be world famous. Like, and I'm recognizing there's a lot that comes with that. There's a lot of responsibility in being famous and being integrated, indivisible in your experience of being famous so that you can hold it. Because we see so many of, the people that attain the fame, and they end up broke and broken and addicted and in rehab and burned out. And so that sort of far end of the spectrum is you're holding yourself back. There's a part of you that's trying to protect you from that. And so you get to just little by little create more and more space in yourself for the polarity that is inherent in being world famous. Like it's an even more drastic pole to be holding with that. And that is, again, I would say like a truly selfless desire, not ego-based.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you.
Well, it is both
Appreciate
ego-based and
Thank you. Yes.
the universe.
Yes.
The universe,
Yes.
the siren
Yes.
song of the universe.
Yes.
Become world famous, Yolanda, Yolanda. Let the world
I
sing your
receive
name,
it.
Yolanda, Yolanda.
Yes. I love it.
So good. Yolanda, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Helena. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry, just before I go, Tessa, good luck with your journey. I don't know if your doctors have spoken to you about this, but it happened to me, and I don't want anybody else to go through it with fertility. We went through it for a number of years, and at no stage were we advised to freeze my eggs. So when at 40, I decided, okay, now we're just going to, go and we're now going to do this thing, whether it's going to be with donor sperm, but then they just told me, no, sorry, it's too late. You should have frozen your eggs. So I don't know if they've spoken to you about that, but just keep it in mind. And then it was too late because they couldn't harvest eggs. After 40, your chance of conception goes, you will not believe it when you see the statistics and the scale. It reduces tremendously.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you so much for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm currently 37 and my husband is 39, so we're getting up there, but it's a struggle. And I thank you very much for sharing your story and your advice.
Yes.
Beautiful. And I support you being famous.
It's already happening. You're already that person. Yeah. Yeah. And again, that sort of daily practice, just the time container, like really feeling the fame, what it feels like, how good it feels. And then it might bring up like, ooh, this might not be so fun about being famous. And then letting yourself feel the not fun part of it, like really feeling all the feelings. Nothing's wrong. Everything's perfect. And again, you're just holding all of it because that is increasing your capacity for the high sensation of fame. So good. Yolanda, thank you. And thank you to Table Mountain too for being with us today. Yves, are you available for coaching? Yes. You are in an office setting right now. This is thrilling.
I'm in a cafe. This is my little office behind the soda machines, but I run a deli cafe with my brother.
You are behind the machines. What an amazing juxtaposition.
So yeah, I guess one thing that's come up recently that I would love some insight around is, so I'm an artist and I get like all of these insights from my own work. And then I make videos about them, and like it delights me. Like this thing happened last night where I saw something I was talking about connecting to something from like 10 years ago, and I'm like, this is like amazing. And I have this like desire to share it. Like I feel like it's not just for me, but then I'm like, well, maybe I just need to like have it for myself and stop like trying to think of how to package or share it. And so this is like a thing that like confuses me, and it happens a lot where I just kind of like do my thing and share anyway without any like thought of like trying to make it do something. But then I feel like, am I like missing something by not being more conscientious about the app, like that it is for other people, and then wondering again if that's like an ego thing, and maybe like it's actually not for other people, and I just need to learn to like be happy for myself and not need it be witnessed.
How do you feel saying all of that? How do you feel right now?
I feel like my energy is up, like
Mhm.
it's like it up in my head and not really like relaxed or in my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, I feel like some nausea, like I've just been like spun around. Like a little disorientation too.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. Like we're all artists, of course. And you are just so in tune with your artist channel and like letting the visions birth through you and take shape and be shareable. And so you're really like a lot of people just get stuck even being able to do that. So you're already doing that. You're already doing the creating. And it sounds like maybe you're looking for like, okay, well, I'm spinning all of this out, like spinning all these webs, but what's catching? Where's it grasping? Is it just being like splayed and sprayed? Or is it where do I want it to land? Right?
Yes.
Like maybe even a feeling, are you desiring to feel more settled?
Yes.
Aha. Aha. What is your feeling around? So, and you said you want to be received in your art,
Yes.
recognized.
Yes.
How do you want to make people feel with your art?
A relief and timelessness.
So like time has been suspended and they can just feel like relief of any of their ills, their sufferings, their
Yeah, like
whatever.
getting in touch with like the eternal infinite part.
Ooh, that's more specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want people to feel relieved and in touch with the eternal and infinite through the vessel of the art that you're creating. So like that's almost what your call to action is for people. That's like we're starting actually at the back at the end, right? Question number 4, how do you want people to feel? You want them to feel in touch with the eternal and the infinite within themselves. So you're like transporting people to their own inner wisdom, interior plane, inner life, like you're bringing them within themselves. That is how you want to make people feel.
Yeah.
What do you want to be known for, seen as?
A creative genius.
What does that look like? Is there a color that comes to mind? A pattern, maybe geometry? Is there geometry in there? A taste, a sound, a texture? Creative genius.
I feel sort of like this like shamanic, mysterious thing. Like it feels sort of like red and dark.
Mm-hmm. So big time goddess energy there, right? Yeah. The dark, repressed, reviled goddess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then I'm even wondering, how does it land to say I want to be known as this like shamanic, creative genius goddess, priestess?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's more because I'm like, when I think of brilliant, that's more like I like the brightness of that, but it's more this sort of like underground, like in the mystery, like in the ineffable mystery. Yeah, that place.
Ooh, I love this. I'm gonna want all of you to rewatch yourselves.
Yeah.
When the replay comes out, because there's just so much here. And so so brilliant. I feel like you're actually wanting people to reflect that back at you. Mm-hmm. You want them to say, wow, Yves is brilliant.
Yeah.
She has like a brilliance to her that is she's just this creative genius, shamanic, getting me in touch with like the ineffable, infinite. Okay. And so we've now worked backwards to question number 1. How do you want to feel?
Yeah. I was just thinking how funny it was. Like what we're at the beginning. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm saying I want people to feel eternal and timeless. And I'm all like, right now, you know? So yeah, I want to feel spacious.
I want to feel spacious.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Eve, to feel spacious?
It means like freedom of time.
Ugh.
Like I can attune to my own rhythms, and I don't have to do this shit where I'm like trying to, I have freedom of time, and I can, yeah, follow my impulses. I can create and just be with like you said, like be with the visions that come through, and feel like I have the space to, you know, share them or create without any pressure. And because that's what my art keeps reminding me of. Like, there's no pressure. There's cycles that, like, you know, I see things complete over like decade cycles, and it's beautiful. Right. But then I kind of try to fit that into what I see other people doing and try to make it. I don't know.
Compare and despair. Compare and despair. And what I'm seeing too right now, you want the spaciousness. We do need a little bit of the constraining and containing, though.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, in what way is your current circumstance helping you birth this version of you that gets to feel spacious all the time? Because right now there's a part of you that feels like that actually won't work, which is why it's not your current reality. So in what way is your current circumstance really supporting you in actually feeling very spacious?
It's showing me the ways that I can say no more. Like I'm really seeing
the sacred no.
The sacred
right?
no. Totally.
I am not available for that. No.
Yes.
Because the minute you say yes to something, you've said no to everything else. But when you say no, you're leaving yourself available for the sovereign yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
And your art needs to be the sovereign yes. So that's going to require a lot of sacred no's that is not meant to hurt or offend or upset anyone. And when you deliver that sacred no from, this is me creating space for my spaciousness so that I can help people feel in touch with their ineffable infiniteness.
Yes.
Like, this is me actually being of tremendous service.
Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking of like this director that I was working with, and, you know, I appreciated it because I felt like he saw me in some ways, but I noticed lately, I'm like, I don't feel excited to work with him. Like, sometimes it works, but it's like not quite the full yes. And I noticed, I'm like, why don't I just let this go? Because it's obviously not in alignment, but it's like, well, because, you know, I still create.
You're rationalizing it.
Yeah.
You're rationalizing it.
Yeah.
You're rationalizing it. So that's gray area right there. And what we talked about in day one is, if it's not a sovereign yes, it's kind of like a no, but it needs to just stay in the no column for now. And that doesn't mean it's there forever. It just needs to incubate in the sacred no, so that if it is meant to emerge as a sovereign yes, you're available for it. Because right now, maybe you need to pull back, you need the break, you need to attune to yourself, your rhythms, what spaciousness means to you, cultivating your capacity to have spaciousness too. Yeah. That's big work right there, because we're not used to having spaciousness. We're not used to, like, I think you're very in tune with like your rhythms and everything, and you're being pulled in some of your obligations, which are also tied in with familial relationships. So it's like we have some delicate dancing to do as you are moving into this new identity and version of yourself. So yeah, really just looking through the lens of, I want to feel spacious, and maybe even working with like question 1 and 4 together. The polar ends, the poles of the directives. Like, I want to feel spacious so that I can help people feel in touch with the infinite and ineffable. Yeah. And then when you're presented with something that you feel like you have to say yes or no to, you say, is this opportunity, is this circumstance where I have to make a decision in support of me feeling spacious so that I can help people feel in tune and in touch with their infinite and ineffableness?
I love that. Thank you. Because it really, that thing of like the centering the self.
Mhm.
it like kind of turns it on its head, right?
Mhm.
Because
Oh,
like,
reverse
right?
the flow, baby.
Exactly.
Reverse the flow.
I love that. Because even thinking about saying this to this director, I was like feeling bad being like, well, and it's like, well, no, if he really sees me and appreciates my art, he knows what I'm here to do, to say that it's in service to that, like this isn't, it just makes it much more, I feel an integrity hearing that. So
Love that word. That is a brand value of mine, integrity. And guess what? All of us, whether it is your work for someone else, with someone else, your own work over the past decade, your art, you are making yourself available to be seen. And, we think visibility is like how I'm showing up and what I'm saying and how I look. Yes, all of those things. It's how you're communicating, but it's how you feel, because being seen is, what are people picking up? How are you making them feel? How are you being felt? How are you letting people feel you? And if you are creating something out of integrity, out of alignment, within that gray area where it's not quite a no, it's not quite a sovereign yes, like, you're not doing any service to yourself or to the people you're here to help. Like, you're actually really undervaluing your medicine. The medicine that is you already. Totally perfect as you are. And you're just coming into a new relationship with that. So what are you working with here, Eve? I want to feel
spacious
so that I can make people feel
eternal.
Amazing. That's it.
Yeah.
Because then you feel like more supported in centering yourself, because you've brought in this concept of others, which is just helping us ease into this new centering of the self. Again, capital S, the God, the goddess within, and that full expression. And this is full self-expression instead of the self-oppression that we're so used to. We don't even know we're doing it. And in that gray area, that's self-oppression. You know it's a no right now, but you're doing the but. Beware the but. That is chapter, I can't remember what chapter number that is. It's in, I think it's in the reflection. It's in like part 4 in my book. Beware the but. So beware the but, everybody. B-U-T but. It's leaky. You're leaking when you're creating and positioning yourself there, and it feels easy, right? Because you don't have to commit. You don't have to be decisive. Tessa, this is for you too. Yolanda, this is for you. This is everyone listening, whether you're hearing me and feeling me or not. Decisive is to cut off from. And we're like, oh no, I want to be like available and connected. And it's like, you're not going to be available and connected if you aren't super clear and crystalline in yourself. If you're leaking all over the place, you're doing you're not delivering the service. You're not delivering the medicinal message you're here to bring. So
thank you.
Thank you, Eve. That was so beautiful. And I love that we got to do like 1 and 4. That was very unexpected for me, but it's like, you've got like sort of that initial part of the lightning bolt and then the like tail end of it. And the tail end of the lightning bolt, like that's the grounding. It's a very grounding principle, right? Like the lightning wants to like be received by the earth, and the earth of what, again, you want to be making people feel. I think that's number 4, right? Or is it? Anyways, I'm getting to know this work too. That's why we did this workshop. Okay, so fun. Oh my God, loved the coaching. We are at 12:30. So if you need to go, please feel free to bow out. Yolanda says, thank you so much for the coaching and the surrogate coaching. Oh, love it. Yes. What we hear is both for us, of us, within us. Homework. watch the replays, go back through them. I'm going to be putting them all together. There will be a replay weekend this weekend where you can just watch all the replays. You are on this list too. You will have access to this workshop. As it is turning into part of it paid. I don't know. It's falling into place, but like watch the replays this weekend. This weekend, you are a different person than you were on Tuesday when we started. And especially I want to encourage you to watch your coaching. And even if you were not directly coached, imagine it as if you are being coached, watching someone else be coached, because there are no others. Book a visibility consultation with me. I will be sending that link with the replay that is complimentary. We can just dive a little bit deeper into what might be coming up for you. And I'm still calling this visibility. It is, of course, an indivisibility, what visibility means to you as an individual, and coming into this indivisible place in yourself and who you are, what you're here to do, how you want to feel. And number 3, stay tuned. I am birthing an entire universe here, not just the book, but this whole brand integration that has been going on, really bringing all of my work together. I really was very divided. I started in service-based entrepreneurship in 2015, shifting from product-based entrepreneurship. I actually I turned my first profit as a 9-year-old. So I have been an entrepreneur all life. And it was very product based in the beginning. And then I had my daughter and I shifted to a more service based model. I started out as a stylist for women. I like to say I was sort of going from the outside in, because I always loved clothing. It was sort of my substance of choice. And also appealed to something that was just inherent for me, a talent that, I look back to my early friendships and grade school and high school. And even when I was wearing a uniform, people were always looking to me to see how I was wearing the uniform, how I was sort of playing with the codes of the dress codes and the uniform, and towing lines, but also being within the boundaries. And I had 2 older brothers, so I just loved like men's clothing. This is one of my favorite things, is a blazer. And so again, starting out, like going outside in, and then made a big shift around my own spiritual awakening to more, okay, well, I can do a lot of going from the outside in, but I'm really very interested in the root cause of why women feel the way they do and why they're looking to their clothing and feeling better about their bodies. And so now we go inside out. And of course, it goes both ways. But anyways, beautiful things happening with H Grand Style. And this is just the very beginning. So you are on the list. I hope you will share your experience here with people, forward it along. I'm just so available now. I'm so available to just keep doing this over and over again in so many ways. And there's just so much that has already been birthed and is being turned into new versions. And there's just this beautiful dance going on. So the pregnant goddess has given birth to the pregnant goddess. So stay tuned for more on that. And I will leave you today, our final day, day 3 of the Indivisible Confidence Live workshop. You create worlds with your words. This came through in the early stages of really developing this directives work, really grounding into it. And I actually started with directives work back in 2015. And then it sort of resurfaced as I was writing the book as like, what's the door I want people to walk through? And I'm like, I really want people to realize it. And I played with the concept too. If I only could say 15 words to someone before I die, I love to play with sort of ecstatic living. I'm in deep connection with the concepts and the symbols of death, because we're always dying and being reborn, that these would be the words I would want to deliver. You create worlds with your words. And that is why I think that the directives work is so powerful, so profound. and something that is really going to help hopefully millions of women or those interested in embodying a more balanced pole holding experience as humans will really begin to embody and realize that our words are precious and we are creating worlds with our words. You create worlds with your words. That is a wrap for today, for our 3 days together. Thank you so, so much from my depths to all of you. I also wanted to say thank you to Debbie, who has been here the last 2 days. She wrote me an email today and said she wouldn't be able to make it. And she said that this work, she said, can't make today's session, look forward to the recording, really appreciate your work, thanks. And that was just, I'm like, oh, that's all I needed. Let us proceed with being so clear in our directives and really in deep embodiment and reception of our desires, creating capacity for the fulfillment, the direct experience of them, whatever it might look like, wherever it might be coming from. You just are welcoming in your totality, the universe that you are, the universe that you are, and the universe that you are birthing into the world. You create worlds with your words. Thank you so much. Yolanda says, Helena, I am deeply grateful for this workshop, the knowledge, providing and holding the space for us, mostly for you and my gorgeous co-participants. May your work reach and teach millions. Yes. And may you be blessed abundantly. Thank you. Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you so, so much. Yves, Tessa, Sheena, who is here, Debbie, Rebecca. I'm sure I'm missing some people. Maybe some people couldn't even get in with the waiting room. So many people have watched the replays. I hope, again, that you will enjoy this, come back to it over and over again. And I look forward to connecting with anyone who feels ready to face themselves. I guide you to give yourself the permission to reveal the parts of yourself that you've never been in touch with before, never felt like you could reveal, and just really bringing your full self into the most miraculous levels of self-expression that just are going to astound the world and contribute to, again, you living in alignment with your directives and the soul level calling of birthing universes and pregnant goddesses, giving birth to pregnant goddesses. I can stay all day, forever, keep going, but I will end it here. Our container is closed for the Indivisible Confidence Workshop Live. Thank you so much to all who were here, all who are hearing us in the past, present, and future. And thank you to all of the teachers who have come before me and to all of those who will carry this with them. And so it is. Thank you. Until the next, so much love to everyone. Bye.